Hi guys, Evan here. Welcome to the explanation for PT55 Game 2. This game's a bit tricky because it's undefined, meaning we're not quite sure exactly how many pieces are going in our order. We know we're ordering stuff, but it could be 3 and it looks like the upper limit is 6. So one thing that's helpful for a game like this is always get your head around the parameters, around like the upper and lower limit of what you could have in the game, and that'll make it more manageable. So what are we doing here? We're Sukanaya, and we receive email messages from work from 3 associates, Hillary, Jerome, and Lula. So H, J, and L. And we receive at least one from each, so I always abbreviate that AL1, and of here we could add of each. And then we have an upper limit of 2, at most 2. So what I'm doing for that is I'm going to actually add all the pieces that I could conceivably have, H, H, J, J, L, L. And then I know right now that that's my available game pieces. That's what I'm pulling from. And then what do I do about the base of the board here? Well, because I could have at most 2 of each, 6 is my upper limit, it looks like my minimum is 3. So I kind of did different colors for that. I'm not sure how well that'll show up on YouTube, but we've got these spaces here you know for sure you're going to have. These backspaces you'll maybe have depending on how many pieces you use. So since you won't have colored pencils, you might want to do that as like dotted lines for those spaces, whatever. But we do know no more than one message will be sent each day, so it's not too complicated. Other than this undefined element, this is just a basic ordering game. Now let's jump into our additional rules here. The first message is not from Lula, so just a simple restriction there. Now both the first and last message are from the same person. Both the first and last messages from the same person means that L can't be first, so there's no way L could be last. This gets a bit tricky with diagramming. We can't just stick a restriction over here, because what if the last spot is, say, the 4 spot, or even this spot right here? So I think there's no way around just writing first and last same on the side. And if you want, you can do a little image that helps out with that too. A lot of prep companies pretend that there's a way to diagram every single rule. The truth is you get sort of miscellaneous rules at some point. So the important thing to do is draw them in a way that you can identify with it powerfully and remember that rule. For me, for unusual rules, I like to often get them down 2 ways, and that's what I've done here. First equals last. I have it in sort of a conditional form here with a biconditional, and then here I have a visual drawing of it. Now, exactly once we get a message from Jerome the day after we get one from Hillary. So there's going to be exactly 1 block, not 2, exactly 1 of HJ. So I put my little abbreviation X1 of this. And then of the first 3 messages, exactly 1 is from Jerome. So a lot of exactly stuff. Again, X1, J, and then we're going to put that in bracket form right here. Exactly 1 J in those first 3 spots. And that's all we've got as far as rules. One quick thing that I saw here, though I don't know how useful it would be, is that it's not possible to merely have 3 variables. You try the H and J block in here, your remaining one has to be L. Remember, we have to use at least 1 of each. And L cannot be the first or the last. Let me write that down more specifically here. L first is out. L last is out. So I always know I'm going to have 4 spots, so I might as well convert that to a black spot right here. Okay, from that point on, I felt like I was ready to go with the questions. The reality of games like this is there's a lot of flexibility, so you're required to just do a lot of thinking on your feet. It wouldn't be too helpful to try and draw scenarios. You'd be here all day, for example. Okay, so here's the acceptability question. I've got our orders that we're testing written out, so just take your rules one at a time, go through them. So the first one we had was this rule that L can't be first and last, so that gets rid of this. Then first and last has to be the same. We've got that written two ways up here. JJ, that's good. JH, that's not good. HH, the rest are okay. Now we need exactly one HJ block. We don't see it there, and we don't see it there. So we're left with D as the right answer. Okay, 8 is a very open-ended feeling type of question, and this is really what you get in this game, like I said. So you just got to do flexible thinking on your feet here. We're looking to find the maximum possible number of email messages after Jerome's first message, but before Hillary's first message. So naturally, I'm going to want to just go for as much as possible at first, right? So I do Jerome's first message here, and then I know then Jerome has to be at the back, and then I put H here, L here, L here, and H here. There's no way to get it any further apart between J and the first H. If we tried to move H and H further back, you're now violating the first and last rule, and you also don't have the block that you need. Here we see that there has to be 2 in between, and that corresponds to C as the correct answer. For 9, Sukanya receives exactly 4 messages, so we're going to cut these 2 spots out. Then what must be true? As with any global must be true question, I'm scanning for answers that jump out at me as likely answers. And I look at A, exactly 1 L. That looks really promising to me. If we tried to have 2 L's, say we put them in the middle, remember L can't go in the end, all of a sudden, HH, we haven't satisfied several rules here. We don't have this block that we need, we don't have the first and last the same, and we don't have one of each of these 3, H, J, and L. So we violated everything. There's going to have to be max 1 L. What about if we try to have no L's? Well, that violates this rule, so we can't do that either. So we do have to have exactly 1 L. If you want to just see it in an order, H, J, L, then H. That works fine. 10 is asking us which of the following email messages cannot be from Lula. And for me, I was thinking, well, Lula can't be first or last, so I'm going to look for that first. It'd be a super easy way to answer the question. We know she can't be first, right? Well, what about 4th or 5th? Those might be last, but we don't know. But if she's in the 6th spot, that is always the last spot, right? So is 6 an option in here? Yes, it is. If there is a 6th one, Lula cannot be there. And that's the correct answer. Do not go trying all these out until you've looked to see if you can solve it the easy way, like I did, which is taking what you know definitely about L and seeing if that relates to the right answer. Okay, for 11, we know we've got 6 messages, and the 5th is from Lula. So what must be true in that situation? And at this point, I sort of saw an inference about the game that maybe I had wished I saw earlier, but since L can't be here, I should have converted this into H or J. This first spot is always H or J. So why don't I just try those 2 possibilities out? So I try this order with H first, H in the 1 spot, L over in the 5th spot, H is going to have to be last. We have to have the J here because that's the only way to get the HJ block that we need. Then remember, that's the only J that can be in that 3rd spot. So now the remaining J has to be here, and this has to be L. We know the whole order. Now let's try it with J down here. J here, L in the 5th spot, J in the back. I quickly see that it's not possible for this to happen because then we cannot get the HJ block. So this order is out. Now we know the whole order. What must be true here? The first message from J, nope. Second from Lula, L2, no. 3rd from Hillary, Hillary 3, no, that cannot be true. How about the 4th message from Jerome? J and 4, we see that right here, and it's our right answer. I'm going to leave this HJ in here because we should have done that to start with. And then 12, we've got Sukanai is receiving 2 messages from Lula. So what's the maximum possible number of email messages after Lula's first but before Lula's last message? So I just try for the most possible at first. I know the L can't be on the end, right? So I put the two L's here. That's the furthest we could ever get them apart. Does that work out? Then we have an HJ here. And then a problem crops up. Say we try and make this H on the end. Well, then we need another H to satisfy this first and last rule. If, on the other hand, we make this J, then we need another J, and suddenly we've got 3 J's. So clearly that's not going to work out. We can't get L that far apart. So let's try again with L here and L here. Is this possible? Well, now we can do HJ. We can make this first one J, and then we have our remaining H right here. We've satisfied this rule. We've got the block we need right here, and we've satisfied this first and last rule. So that's the furthest you can get L apart, and there's one space in between them, which corresponds to answer choice B. Okay, so not the easiest game ever. This undefined characteristic requires a little more mental flexibility. Basically, the game hinged on your ability to quickly make acceptable orders to figure things out. So just get down to doing that work quickly. People who are sort of towards the end of their prep and are feeling like they're in top shape with combining orders into acceptable combinations are going to be in really good shape for this game. So try and strive to get there. Okay, we'll see you on the next game.